President Trump first threatened a possible attack on Iran during its crackdown against mass protests a month ago. Iran's military warning that any attack would be met with an immediate response, including strikes on U.S. forces in the region. Here now, Amir Handjani, non-resident fellow at the Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. Is Iran losing leverage right now?
Well, I think it's lost leverage since the summer because its nuclear program was since been attacked and set back. They aren't enriching uranium right now because it's buried under the rubble. Yet they're fighting for a right to enrich that they don't have the capacity to have right now. And the sanctions that are in place have not been taken out. So they are cornered, and the United States has great leverage. That being said, Iran could still cause a lot of mischief in the region if the U.S. were to attack. They have the capability to do that.
And on that, what is their military capability? What is their strength?
It's their missiles, their ballistic missiles. It's important to remember that even though Israel and the United States set the nuclear program back in the attacks in June, it was Israel that asked for the ceasefire because as the war dragged on, Iran was launching less missiles, but they were more accurate. And this worry about Iran's ballistic missiles is something that Israel and the United States are very concerned about if there is another military attack.
The White House press secretary, Amir, said Tuesday the president has a range of options on the table, and that includes military force. Can you talk us through what those options most clearly look at in conjunction with the risk that Iran poses to our troops in the region?
Well, I think the military option, Iran is a very big country. If you were to strike it militarily, you would strike instruments of the regime, instruments of the government. You would try to take out as many missile launchers as you could. But these are mobile missile launchers. They're all over the country. There's a good chance that you'd get some and not others. And those that you weren't going to get would be launched at our forces in the region, at possibly in the Persian Gulf in terms of the shipping. Set the price of oil, above $100, maybe $150, and of course hit Israel. So this is where I think the president has been cautioned by the Pentagon, saying that a war with Iran would be very protracted because it is a big country and has an ability to absorb a lot of blows. That's one option. The other option, which I think the Trump administration is pursuing, albeit quietly, is what they did with Venezuela, which is to have some sort of embargo on Iran's ability to export its oil to China. But even that, as we see today, Iran pushes back on that with activity in the Persian Gulf by confiscating vessels. So all in all, a confrontation would probably be the worst outcome because it could lead to many different things that the Pentagon and the White House don't want to deal with right now.
One thing that we've heard, kind of buzzed about since the protests last month is the likelihood or the closeness of regime change as Iran gets backed into a corner. Who and what would that look like if it were to happen?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that chance. We saw those protests last month. But, Iran's regime it's a state. It has a lot of depth. It's got a lot of layers to it. If there is a regime change, I think it would come from within. We've seldom seen the scenario of regime change coming from outside being effective. It would look something like in Venezuela, where one person is removed, but then the apparatus of the state gets together and continues. I think that would be ideal for the Trump administration. I think it's very unlikely to happen.
Amir Handjani, I appreciate your time, sir, on this important topic at this critical moment.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.